All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Juju Show number 6. We got some good stuff for you this time. We've got some recap. We've got some OpenStack and community news. But first, let's go around and say hello to our guest today. Antonio, how you doing?
Hello, I'm Antonio Rosales. I work on Juju ecosystem.
All righty, Chuck. You're like half on camera, half off, according to here. Let's see.
Hi, my name is Charles Butler. I as well work on the Juju Eco team, primarily on the canonical distribution of Kubernetes.
David, welcome to the party. Your first show, right?
Thank you. Glad to be here. Yeah, I'm David Ames. I'm on the OpenStack Charmers team. Hopefully have some interesting things to say here.
Cool. Eric, we have no video for you. You are headless.
Yeah, no video. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, no video for me. I just joined today. I just wanted to log in and see what's this is kind of about. If I kind of drop out here, some way through, it's because someone's contacting me about something.
All right.
Hello and welcome.
Important stuff going down. George, welcome back. Missed you, man.
Hi, everyone. George Castro. I've been on the road, so I've been missing. Hello.
Cool.
Kubernetes and Juju all the time for me.
And Marco.
Hey, Rick. Hey, everyone. How y'all doing?
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's get this kicked off. I know I just got through seeing basically almost everyone in the room here at the Charmer Summit in Ghent last week. So we're all back. We've all slept on our own beds for a couple days and gotten recuperated. But we wanted to kind of wrap up some stuff that had happened there. I've seen the videos that were recorded from the talk starting to go up. I've seen the intro talk go up. There's a Kubernetes talk, I believe, that went up. And relevant to today's topic, there was an OpenStack talk that James gave that was there. What'd you guys think?
We had a lot more folks who were there who had more feedback on using Juju and operating with Juju, writing charms, and wanting to push that game forward. So I was pleased to see there was more folks who showed up this week and wanting to just learn. They played an OpenStack and they're like, hey, I like to learning about Kubernetes. So I thought that was great.
Cool. Everyone is in stunned silence. Any highlights in particular anyone want to call out? Particular interesting stuff that was shown or that you saw?
I wasn't there, but I heard my colleagues did a fantastic job with the OpenStack Charmers 102 program. So exciting to see that happen.
Yeah, it's always fun. I had a few folks that I know that were there for the first time. What's always exciting is to see folks leaving an event excited to get going and play with it more, and that kind of refueling engagement. That's what I love, right? Like you get together, then you get pumped up. That's the kind of stuff where you're hitting on the plane on the way home, trying stuff out. Got to get it going. Well, cool. I encourage everyone to check out the videos as they go up. Check out Config Management Camp. We'll have another one of these in 6 months in the US somewhere, hopefully, and put it on your calendar as we'll get word out as we get closer. But get on the calendar because it's a really great event to go to, and it's a great way to get bootstrapped with the engineers on the ground. So YouTube playlist. Cool. We'll put this in the show notes, the playlist of the talks from that. Great. Community news. Let's keep that going. The one thing I saw an email that we have the regular emails when charms are reviewed and that get kind of promoted in the store. And we had a whole array of things that got in last week, and they were really kind of cool charms. So I wanted to highlight one because this is good stuff to have available to you, and two, just to kind of pat the guys in the back doing the reviews and help them to push the charm authors to really get these, get the charms, all the tests passing. It's a lot of work. So I wanted to kind of highlight these things. The first one on my list here is the Canonical Live Patch Subordinate Charm. So this is for folks who are wanting to use Canonical Live Patch, who have access to the service and everything and want to keep their production instances up without any downtime. You tack the subordinate on like you would a Nagios or a landscape subordinate or whatnot, and it will watch that machine and make sure that it gets updated. And then also report into Nagios if you have any machines that have not had their patches applied, it looks like, when I was poking through the README and such. So
yeah, it's really cool for those who don't know what live patching is, I guess, which might be some out there that haven't heard of it. Basically, the idea behind live patching is get kernel updates without ever having to reboot. So that's the whole premise of live patching. So you get kernel updates delivered, and it's mostly the super high priority security flaws and stuff. I think it's free for like the first 5 machines. So if you're at home, you can just apt install live patch and you get it in there. But then for your deployments also, it's great so that you never have to reboot. This is especially cool if you're running any containerized workloads, like if you've got like Docker workloads running and stuff that all use the same kernel. If you live patch that kernel, all your containers are patched as well. Super sweet stuff. Same with LXD. So it's a cool thing to just add on, and it's easy to get started in using.
Yeah, I want to stick this on all my databases I have up there so that I know that those things that I don't just shoot them in the head and restart those things. Being able to keep them up to date and secure is really important. Next one on the list was an OpenVPN charm, which, you know, especially in today's world, man, I tell you what, I keep thinking about running my own VPN for when I'm traveling out and about to go through just to kind of protect my own stuff. And so it can't be any easier now. Juju deploy OpenVPN. How awesome is that? And I believe that's from a community member from the Tengu team. So that's Merlin and Company, right?
Correct. Yep.
Sorry, everyone's nodding their head and they're all muted, and I'm looking at my notes.
I couldn't find my mute.
we are professionals at this stuff.
Yeah, no. The OVPN stuff was by the Tengu team. Those guys have some awesome. I mean, Tengu project in general is super cool. This big data, open science stuff. So having an OpenVPN charm from them makes it awesome. You can just go ahead and poke in and get secure access to your cloud deployments or just routing for your network stuff in general.
I have an add-on for that to kind of bring us back to the first topic of what we really liked from the summit. They gave a talk about a potential IDE for writing charms. It was very early POC work, but it looked fantastic. Yeah. So if you're not familiar, Apache Shay is like a browser-based editor.
Yeah, we need to get him on the show like soon.
Definitely. That leads me to my next charm that I was going to bring up that was in the list that got promoted, and that is the Eclipse Shay charm that he demoed at the summit. That comes baked in with, like you say, it comes baked in with some kind of pre-done templates and tools to help get charm writing going off on the right foot. So, definitely look for those. If we get the videos of the lightning talks up, we talked about it, you can go see it. But even better, get out there and Juju deploy it. How far did you get, Marco?
It's installing now, so in a few minutes, actually, we'll circle back around.
All right, we'll come back around. Marco's actually trying to get it deployed real quick so we can show it. But it's something to definitely play with if you're interested at all in the charm authoring or even just kind of web-based IDEs to your development team. It'd be kind of cool to have pre-baked. I could see a lot of cases in education, school-based stuff. If you did enough interviews where you had kind of a box of come in here and hack on some code or whatnot. So. Lots of cool use cases for that, and it's just, again, a Juju deploy away on your cloud of choice. And the last one on the list, I'm a personal fanboy. It's just the PG Bouncer now has a promoted charm in here. So if you were trying to scale your Postgres and want to actually handle your connection pools really well, PG Bouncer is one of the best ways to do that. Having a ready-to-made charm for that is most excellent. Cool. Let's see. Next up, I'm going to actually tie this one into the release bits. Busy couple of weeks for releases. We had releases on all 3 active streams of Juju while we were away. The big one, Juju 2.1 hit RC1. That's Juju and conjure-up. And so definitely it's time, folks, to start banging on 2.1, making sure that all your stuff's ready to go. The big thing I wanted to highlight out of the changelog, obviously we talked for a while about how this has got model migrations, which is a way to help you perform upgrades and do load balancing and such as you scale your Juju controllers, and also for add credentials and some other interactive usability bits. But the biggest one, the one that's most kind of, I feel like, user facing for folks right now, are the network changes. And John sent a separate email to the list specifically about the network changes in 2.1, some notes about what's coming in 2.2. I know I've had a couple of users in IRC that have had some bundles that they had complex OpenStack bundles with multiple spaces and things that they've had to update in order to get things to work. So I'll encourage folks to make sure you're up on that thread, testing your stuff out, filing any bugs around the new network changes. It's RC time, so that means there's not much time left.
Can I jump in here and just say,
sure.
I think the big change there is the dynamic bridging. And so Juju is waiting to determine if it's going to drop a LXD on a physical machine. So if you're using MAS and you're doing LXDs, it dynamically creates that bridge. So basically, if you don't anticipate having LXD on a physical machine, you're going to use the unbridged interface name. And if you do anticipate having LXD on there, then you're going to use, like BR-ETH1 or what have you, that kind of thing. So that's been a big one that I've been hearing.
Yep, definitely. And I think the flip side of that is that when you do have those, Juju's going to start to actually error if it's being asked to guess what to do, and it seems like you've got a hint on what you want done. It's going to actually error and say, you know what, you need to be more explicit to me rather than leaving it up to me to guess what you want. And I think that's where people have a bundle that had some of the network information in, but not all of it. Juju's going, look, you supplied some of it. That means you know what you want. Keep telling me the rest of what you want, or else I'm going to stop and abort. And that's what I mean by if you give it a hint that you know what you want. If you put some things in proper spaces and then you put something else on the machine and you don't define it, it's going to go, oh, I don't know what to do with this one. It's not like the others. And so that's the kind of thing where it's small tweaks to that bundle to be more explicit that makes it should all just work. But if it doesn't, it's bug time, RC time. So let's hammer on it and get those things updated. That'll be great. Let's see. Marco says it's ready. What's this?
Yeah, I want to see
Shay
you
is
guys
running.
So I deployed this a little bit after we started, so it took about 8 minutes to get running. I'm just going to share my screen with you to show you this deployment. So this is the charm in the store. It's just Eclipse Shay. The README is fantastic. The Tango team does a great job with these READMEs. So they've got an animated GIFs or GIFs, whoever you subscribe to on the internet. They've got animated images embedded in their READMEs to show you how to get started with this after you do a deploy. It's just Juju deploy, Eclipse Shay, and then you can walk through the process. So I deployed this a little while ago, like 8 minutes ago. It's up and running now. So I'm just going to open up the IP address, go to 8080. So here, 8080. It loads the dashboard. From here, you can start making this project. So for Eclipse Shay, for those who don't know, it's like it's just a web-based IDE. It uses the server side to store workspaces, so you can create a bunch of new projects. So I'm showing a new project from blank. Merlin gave a great lightning talk on this. I'm not going to do it justice, but in here, there should be a Juju Charms project workspace. So you can do Java, .NET, Android, all that stuff. But that stuff's boring compared to Charms. So the Juju Charms workspace is one that the Tango team and Merlin had created. It adds all the things you need, charm tools, the charm commands, all the layers preceded. I'm going to assume that the defaults here are okay. Call this something cool like hello charms, charmers. And then create. So what this does is just create the workspace. It's got all those things running in there. And then you'll actually be able to use a command line on the browser to do like charm proof. You can edit the files. You can add new files. You can build your charms, download existing charms and such. And then just have at it. An IDE for you to transport between machines and stuff for charm development. I don't know how long it's going to take to set up the environment. Hopefully it's quick. You see it's kind of like spinning over here on the side, but
yeah. One of the things that Merlin pointed out that asked was like, what does he think is that he's a charmer, does a lot of development. If he'd use it day to day as a daily driver, and I know people are very opinionated on what to use as their daily drivers to write code in, and he's like, I think someone really getting you into it is awesome. And he's like, and he's also looking at it as a daily driver, and that the feature requests for Chi are going to have multiple tabs, split tabs, and that's one of the things that he was saying about doing it, and then a way to be able to automatically do build jobs. So a lot of the features that he said that he would want for a daily driver are also coming. So I wanted to caveat, if you deploy it today and you're like, hey, it doesn't have my split tabs, I really need those, split windows. There's a lot of those features already coming in Chi, and the development pace is pretty fast.
Yeah, the IDE. Cool. The IDE feels a lot like if you've used Microsoft's Code IDE or like Atom and stuff. It's very similar to those kind of feels for IDE. I'll show you that hopefully in a second. I don't know how long it's going to take to set up a workspace. I imagine it's like the process for the first workspace is pretty intensive. Then each successive workspace is probably pretty quick. But it looks like it's pulling a bunch of Docker stuff down. So very impromptu demo, but yeah, if it cuts any more interesting, I'll let you know. But check it out, just Juju deploy Che. This is on the default instance at Amazon, so it doesn't need a lot of compute power to run. And try developing some charms on the web.
It's got charm school written all over it.
Yeah, I just want to point out how everyone just kind of glossed that he just fired that up and it all just worked. I just want to point that out. That someone said, "Hey, this was cool. We come back in 2 minutes." I just want to point that out.
It's so easy. You get no credit for it.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like, what's he doing? I don't know. He probably had that pre-canned. You did not.
No. On the fly stuff. Gotta love it. All right, back to the releases. A new stable release of Juju was released while we were away, 2.0.3. It's got some bug fixes in it. So if you're on 2.0.2, get your upgrades going. And the same thing with you folks rolling old school, 125.10 had some controller memory improvements and stuff in it. So make sure you check out that release if it's got something useful for you in there, that you get those things upgraded. I will say I was running some kind of stats on Juju controllers of information we have, and I was really happy to see that we've got 2/3 of the models out there now are running Juju 2, and so 1/3 are running old school 125. And so it's great to see the uptake and folks getting on board with the new world order, world apart for sure. All right, that's my highlight of the things that I ran across in the community news. So let's see, OpenStack. All right, David, are you ready, sir? I hear you guys have got some of, I have to say, like, I really appreciate your guys' charms. I know whenever I go hacking on charms and stuff, and I need to crib something, I always go to the OpenStack charms first and foremost, because I've got high confidence that they're well done and that they're doing good stuff, and putting the practices of charming to use, I can learn a lot from.
Excellent. Yeah, appreciate that.
I just want to plus one that if you guys want to see a good, we talked about Juju being a distillation of operational knowledge. The charms are a distillation of operational knowledge. I think James was talking about the first commit to the charms was 2013 by Adam. And so sometime around that time, folks have been iterating and work on it, and every time we learn something, we can be able to put in the charms and make them better. So a great example of distillation of operational knowledge from a variety of folks.
Yeah. Hey, if I just piggyback on that, thank you, by the way. Thank you for my team. I'll thank you. But one of the things that enables us to keep driving forward and keep stability with the charms and deal with regressions and things is a good CI system. So I do recommend for charm developers out there that you have a CI process that on every commit to master for us gets, or before it's committed to master, gets validated by our CI. So not just unit test, not just lint, but actually a functional test as well. So I can't recommend that highly enough. That's a big part of the development cycle. So on our end, the big news is the 1702 release, which is going to happen on February 23rd. As you might notice, we are now aligned, or actually I should say that the OpenStack itself has changed its alignment. It is no longer lined up directly with the Ubuntu release. This is mostly to support the project teams groups, the PTGs, taking place. So we'll be releasing in February. The big piece of that release will be Ocata support. The one major change that's happening in Ocata is the beginning of Cells version 2. So we will have kind of an initial support for that. It admittedly will be a single cell to start, but the idea of Cells is the ability to kind of distribute your load throughout your data center. So you can have a set of database and RabbitMQ and what have you in various different locations within your data center to offset that load. So that's kind of exciting to get that.
Is this kind of scaling by partitioning, where I have different sets of my users or whatnot on different cells, or is this something more generic, where rather than the projects might be able to span cells, or what's the level of how am I scaling by getting cells here?
Right. So the main pain point in a very large production OpenStack environment is MySQL or Percona cluster and Rabbit. Those guys get hammered, and so Cells gives you an ability to say, I'm in data center 2, use this MySQL database and this RabbitMQ. And so again, that just enables you to distribute some of that load. So Keystone is going to give you the ability to do various different domains. You could also set a domain for a particular data center as well. I do want to be very clear here that this is very preliminary initial support. So that in OpenStack itself, it's initial. These are the initial deployments of Cells v2, but we're excited about that. So if you're interested in deploying Ocata, it'll be available in the Xenial Cloud Archive. I wanted to mention one other a new charm that we'll be releasing is the Manilla charm, which is the OpenStack basically file systems as a service. We're reaching out to the community to if you have storage solutions of various kinds. We try to make all of our primary charms as pluggable as possible. So if you can write a plugin charm for a backend storage for file system as a service with Manilla, we're looking for that. So that'd be really exciting. Under the hood, we've done a couple things, mod WSGI support for all of our APIs, Memcached backends, that kind of stuff, some boring things, but that's all in there for this release. And then Rick, you asked me to talk about just a little bit of how OpenStack charms are using the reactive framework and layers. And I'll just point out that, again, you can probably find the charm 102 from the config management camp that'll let you go into lots more detail than I'll go here, but I'll just say just a couple of highlights. Our goal for the OpenStack charm team is to make, if you have a charm that's going to integrate with OpenStack, whether that's Keystone or an SDN or a storage backend or what have you, we try to make this as easy as possible to get off the ground. So our goal is to make things as declarative as possible. So basically you start with a reactive charm using one of our OpenStack layers. And you're able to just to declare, these are the packages I need, these are the relationships I expect, what have you. And so what we've learned through trial and error is that 80% of charms in general, but 80% of OpenStack charms specifically is render some configuration file and wait for all of my relationship data and restart service. So we try to give you that right out of the box, that 80% done. Give you some declarative patterns to follow in reactive and just have you be off to the races. And again, we have kind of plug-in interfaces, if you will, for SDNs to work on compute nodes, for storage charms to work with Cinder, and now with Manilla as well. In the future, kind of on the roadmap, what we're looking for is to have an actual Python project called Charms Declarative, to make this even more declarative than it is today. But that's kind of where we're at. So just as a parting message, I'll say it should be in the notes for this show. But if not, you can just Google OpenStack Charm Guide, and that guide will help you with your first initial charm. It'll point you at the right OpenStack layers as we have them. And as well, I'll just do a plug here for our meetings. We have meetings, bi-weekly meetings. And there's information there if you're interested in OpenStack charm development.
Well, that's cool. And has there been any more progress? I know at one point in time, there were some folks in the community that were trying to use the OpenStack charms outside of OpenStack. I know some of the things like the DNS service Barbican. I know Keystone just for Designate. Sorry, I just flipped those.
Yeah.
I guess they came out at the same time, and I ended up flipping them around.
Yeah. Those are, in fact, just as a plug here, the Barbican and Designate and AODH, the alarm system, have all been written with the reactive framework and these layers that we've just discussed. So
cool. I would assume the new one, Manilla, is also. That
is correct. That's also correct. Yes.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah. That's now policy. Going forward, any new charms will be reactive and layered.
But so I was kind of asking, has there been any more movement on folks trying to reuse the OpenStack components and reuse those charms on their own infrastructure outside of OpenStack? I know at one point someone was trying to use Keystone in order to provide a user backend to their own web service and such. And so I think it's kind of interesting to see how, as much as some of this stuff is OpenStack, the Percona charm cluster is a great MySQL alternative. The operations editor first rate. You can use that anywhere you might use MySQL because of the way charms and the interfaces allow it to be pluggable. I know folks have used the Rabbit charm outside for their own message queue needs and such.
Excellent.
Is there anything else in particular that you can think of? I mean, I'm blanking that would be really useful for folks outside of OpenStack.
So again, you've hit the highlights there. The one that kind of the shared service things. Those are the backbone charms that almost every OpenStack charm needs to relate to in order to function. I will say that just mention Designate specifically. Designate, the project itself, is very much an OpenStack project. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not as familiar with people attempting to use that outside of OpenStack, but it is going to require things like Rabbit, and it may have to plug in. I have to go look at it off the top of my head. May have to relate to some OpenStack specific services like Keystone, that kind of thing. And so it's expecting those things. So I'd be interested to hear from the community, any feature requests or bug requests that are looking to do that, and what some of the challenges might be in implementing that outside of OpenStack, and we'll look into it. Cool.
So Marco, you were mentioning some folks might be using Swift for some storage needs without the rest of OpenStack.
That's a good point too. Swift and Ceph, both of those actually can be run outside of OpenStack.
Well, we definitely use Ceph as a block store for Kubernetes and stuff. The same Ceph charms, like they're great. But I've probably seen some people also using Swift just as object store, because while it is an OpenStack project, it does a great job just being an arbitrary object store for storage and stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really like to try to highlight is that as much as this is, about OpenStack in general, and go, oh, I don't do OpenStack, so there's nothing useful here. What's actually been a lot of fun is to see something well done that has a lot of moving components that then people reusing bits and finding, well done useful tools, or well done useful tools that oftentimes you can, use for your own needs without reinventing wheels and stuff. So
sure, and if I could just plug the reactive framework itself. I think that is the culmination of all the wrong ways of doing it. This is the result of how we should be doing it after having tried all the wrong ways. As far as one of the challenges of charm writing is dealing with race conditions. That's a part of the process, and the reactive framework really helps with that. And I think the OpenStack charms are a good example of the implementation of that.
Yeah, I always love the OpenStack example when I talk to folks about things, because I can go, look, if we can do OpenStack, we can do about anything. Like, not a whole lot of ground of oh, we've never seen that before.
Right.
So, well, that's cool.
I'm sorry, I was going to one other feature point that I thought was interesting in the OpenStack charms, talking to some of the community folks, is Memcached is now in the 1702, meaning that your OpenStack services can use Memcached for caching for a little bit faster throughput of some of the tokens, or how you're setting that up. But I thought that was an interesting new feature landed in 1702.
That's correct.
We're wanting to see that in the OpenStack charm. So if you were waiting for that or looking for that, it's available now. Well, 1702, February 23rd.
On the 23rd, that's right.
You got me a birthday present. You should have. So just one other question here. So on Ocata, I'm not up to speed. Is there anything else besides the initial cells v2 that's kind of like the big selling point of that for the OpenStack folks?
That's the big splashy thing. I think, again, what Atena just mentioned, it's forcing the use of Memcached. It's really kind of it's a performance focused release at this point. So it's a lot of under the hood kinds of bits and pieces. So.
Cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, everyone make sure to check out the charm guide and check out the sessions that are held and get involved in there and try these charms out. So it looks like I've got a new Memcached charm. I've got a couple things I could use that for sure. Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up the show. But George, you wanted to highlight something before we go.
Yes, we are doing a Kubernetes, getting started with Kubernetes and Juju and Conjure next week. And let me get you the date, because I am not prepared, because that segue was way too fast, Rick. Just kidding. Hold on. It is February 22nd at 3 p.m.
Alrighty.
That's 10 a.m. Eastern. And what we're going to do is basically start you from nothing. And if you want to show up with AWS creds, if you don't have any, we'll sign you up for them. Like, we're going to get you started literally from nothing but a terminal to a cluster by the end of the webinar. So it will be a lot of fun. We've shown this at the summit and all that kind of thing, but it gives us a chance to kind of reset everyone who wants to get involved and has been missing all the stuff we've been doing for the past few months. So looking forward to that.
That's
and Marco
awesome.
will be with me as well to ensure that I fail. I meant succeed.
Yeah.
No, but it'll be a lot of fun. We've got something like 96 people already signed up, so it's going to be a good time.
Cool. No, I know it's my new favorite thing to test stuff out is to throw the Kubernetes bundle of stuff and make sure it all works and comes together and things as I test out RCs and betas and stuff. So
yes, I just melted a laptop where we were like, how many nodes can this take? 32 on it. And it was breaking a sweat, but it was awesome. It all works.
Great. All right, then. Well, with that, we're gonna wrap up Juju Show episode 6. We'll see you all at the same bet time channel in 2 weeks for number 7, where I will hunt down someone else to talk about something awesome. And looking forward to your guys' OpenStack release. Good luck, David. Have fun with that. Bye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.